Hey everyone, yasas, que kalosir tate to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. If you love the flavors of Greek American gyros, then you're gonna fall in love with these juicy lamb burgers. They are so good. They're really fresh tasting because I grate in some bell pepper. There's feta in the patty as well. And then once they're grilled, I top them with caramelized onions, more feta, tzatziki. The combination is just so good. You guys are gonna love this one. You could whip these up in no time, so you can't beat that. Let's get started. In my mixing bowl over here, I have 2 pounds of ground lamb, and I'll just season it with 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of salt, lots of freshly cracked black pepper, about a teaspoon of it. If you want less, that's fine too. 2 teaspoons of ground cumin powder, 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of ground coriander. I also like to add a half teaspoon of dried mint. Then I'm going to finely chop some rosemary, about a half teaspoon or 1 teaspoon of fresh rosemary. If you have dried rosemary, that works too, or you can add a teaspoon of dried oregano to this. And then this is very unconventional, but I'm going to grate a whole bell pepper. And my dad does this trick. It adds lots of freshness to the burger. It keeps it really moist and juicy. And I always do this, especially when I'm making lamb burgers. It takes a little bit of work to grate a bell pepper, but once you can't really hold it on the grater anymore, you can just cut it into chunks. And just like we grate the tomatoes, where we grate the inside, the fleshy part, and then when we get to the skin, we just discard the skin. That's the same thing we do with the bell pepper. And if there are any chunks of bell pepper in the ground lamb, you could just pass them through the grater one more time. Just be very careful so you don't grate your fingers. At this point, I like to also add some feta cheese. So I'm just gonna crumble in lots of feta cheese. The feta cheese makes it creamy and adds lots of saltiness and flavor to the burgers. Mix the burgers really well and then just make 6 patties out of them. This makes a really good sized patty. Put them on a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper and flatten them out really well, especially focusing on the center of the burger, because once the burger hits the hot grill pan or your barbecue, wherever you're making this, they're going to tend to kind of gather in the center and then they don't cook evenly. So this is going to help them cook evenly and stay kind of flat. Set the burgers aside and let them rest a little bit while we slice up an onion. I like to make caramelized onions. They go so well with the lamb burgers. And then put in a little frying pan with some olive oil, a little pinch of salt, and a little pinch of granulated sugar. These are going to cook over medium heat for about 15 minutes until they start to become golden. Turn the heat off and heat up either a cast iron pan, or you can light up the barbecue grill, get it really nice and hot at about 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the cast iron pan hot too. If you have a nonstick pan, you could do it in that as well. I just love cast iron because it retains the heat evenly and it just stays nice and hot. So this is going to cook about 4 minutes on each side, and then I'll flip it over one more time and let it cook for 1 to 2 more minutes. The meat is ready once the internal temperature reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how you're going to get a medium to medium well burger. And then I like to top this for the last minute with some crumbled feta. I like to put the caramelized onions on top. And then I also warm the buns in the same pan where all that flavor is, just for a few seconds until they're toasted. The burger goes on the toasted bun, and then the last finishing touch is some balsamic vinegar. This is actually a balsamic glaze, which is a little bit thicker and sweeter, and it goes really well with the lamb. It also goes really well with the caramelized onions. And then I made some tzatziki. I'll put a dollop of tzatziki on top, and this is ready to serve. And there you have it, your new way to make burgers that everyone is gonna love. These are so good. I mean, they have all of the Greek flavors that everybody loves in one juicy bite. They're so good. Again, the bell pepper in there really adds lots of freshness, and it also makes the burger extra juicy. You can cook these on the barbecue grill. I love to do them on cast iron pan, but if you're making these for a bigger group, then definitely the barbecue grill is the way to go, because you have to cook them over a pretty high heat and they'll smoke up your whole house, and you don't want your house to smell like smoke, right? So try to do these outside if you can. They're so juicy and good. Try not to overcook them either so they don't dry out. Serve them the way I have with the caramelized onions, the feta cheese, and the tzatziki, and I promise you, you're gonna love it. You can print this recipe out on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yasas.